the importance of mindset and psychology, and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology.
Welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your guide in the race to financial freedom through real estate investing and sound financial practices. This podcast is for anyone interested in learning more about real estate investing, personal finances, and a new take on traditional retirement. Now, here are your hosts, Larry Fierro and Mike Moe.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, your guide on the race to financial freedom through real estate investing and sound financial practices. And Mr. Fierro, dang, we got a good one today. I'm pumped about this. I said pumped. Can you believe that?
Dude, you're pumped now too? I'm telling you, we just keep getting guests that are going to make us both pumped up and ready for success in real estate industry.
I hate that word, but I guess it was, it just flowed out, man. I guess it was, it needed to be said.
Sometimes it's just called for, man.
I guess so. But yeah, man, we're talking with Mr. Rod Khleif today. Yeah. And if you guys don't know Rod Khleif, you should. He's definitely one of the better known folks in the real estate industry, you know, and we talked about just everything, really the psychological aspect around real estate and how important that is to success. You know, we've talked a lot about like the technical, how to put a deal together, how to find a market, how to research your market. But as Rod kind of explains in this interview, this is a really, really important side of real estate. And we talked about, you know, how his net worth went up 17 million in 1 year. And then how he lost $50 million all in 1 year in 2008 and what it took to come back from that. And just what a impactful interview this was.
Yeah, the mindset that you can stand there and look at a mountain of debt and come back from something but like being $30 million in debt. That was just, it's an impressive story coming up, and I'm very excited to share with everybody because mindset, as we know, is everything, Mike.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a good one.
Yep. So I've got the warm up here if you want to get started with that.
Let's do it.
Okay. It's something that Rod talked about. It's his vision board. And what a vision board is a collage of images and words representing a person's wishes or goals intended to serve as inspiration or motivation.
Yeah, man. Rod talked a lot about this in the interview, how this was a really, really important part of his success. You know, if he wanted something, even if it was something materialistic, like a car or like a house or something like that, he plastered these pictures all over the place. And it's that, you know, consistent reminder of always being there and always being right in your vision that he contributes a lot of that success to, of being able to continue to push forwards and achieve those goals.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to see that he actually put his hands on his vision board and showed us right on the video, which was great because he has it right there at his desk.
Yep, absolutely.
So, well, I'm super excited to get into this one. You wanna jump in?
Heck yeah, let's do it. All right, Rod Khleif, welcome to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast, sir. How are you doing today?
Awesome, guys. Awesome. Let's have some fun today. Let's see what we can do to add some value, but more importantly, have some fun. It's great to see you guys.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming down and sharing your knowledge with everybody on the show.
Sure.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Super pumped to get into your story. Now, you're a lot of people might know your story, but some people don't, as you're quite known in the real estate industry. But let's start with your story, your background,
sure,
and how you got into this and who you are.
Sure. No, I think it sorry if you've heard me say it already, but I think it lends itself to the value that I hope to share today, because it's some pretty amazing things and some pretty not so amazing things. And so I immigrated to this country when I was 6 years old. I was actually born in the Netherlands, in Holland, and immigrated. Ended up in Denver, Colorado, where I lived for the next 30 years or so. And we didn't have much. In fact, I wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army all the way through junior high school until I lied about my age when I was 14 and got a job at Burger King, and then I could go buy my own clothes. And, we ate expired food and drank powdered milk, and we really struggled. And, I'm sure there are people that are listening to you that have had it harder than we did, or maybe have it harder now with all this COVID crap going on. But I will tell you, back then I knew I wanted more. And luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic, number one, and she was a bit of an entrepreneur, number two. She actually invested in the stock market and made money. But with her, what she did was she babysat kids, and that's how she invested in things. And with her babysitting money, she bought the house across the street from us when I was 14 for about $30,000. And then when I was 17, she told me she'd made 20 grand in her sleep. And I'm like, what? Forget college. I'm getting into real estate. And And so she wasn't happy about it, but I got my real estate broker's license right when I turned 18. I wasn't just an agent, I was a broker. You could do it back then with education. Now, of course, they got smart and you need some experience, but I was a broker and I was going to be rich in real estate. Well, my first year in real estate, I maybe made about $8,000. My second year, maybe about $10,000. But my third year, I made well over $100,000. And so what happened between year 2 and year 3? And that's what I like to talk about. What happened was I met someone that taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, and how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the stuff that we talk about the most on our podcast, the technical stuff. It's really more the do and the keep doing when you get your butt kicked. And, but even more than getting back up, it's just getting started, pushing through limiting beliefs, pushing through fear, or maybe getting uncomfortable. Comfort zone's a warm place, but nothing grows there. And so it really is about mindset and psychology. And so, fast forward to today, I've owned over 2,000 houses that I've rented long-term, multiple apartment complexes. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept. Now, when that happens, sometimes someone can tend to get a big head, and I thought I was a freaking real estate god. Okay, I was, do the math on it. It's like $8,300 an hour, and of course I did, and I could barely fit my head through the door. Well, when that happens, God or the universe, whatever you believe, will give you a nice little smackdown. Well, that was 2008 for me. I lost I lost $50 million in 2008. I lost everything. Wow. And so one of the things that I hope we have a chance to dig into is really the mindset it took to have $50 million in the first place, but then the mindset it took to get back to the success that I'm blessed to have today. So, if you want me to drill down on that a little bit, I'm happy to go deeper on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's part of the reason why we're so excited to have you on the show. We've talked a lot about, like you said, the nuts and bolts, the technical ways of putting together a deal and closing a transaction, looking at markets, analyzing deals. And that's all fine and dandy. That's good stuff you need to know, right? But what I'd love to dive into is exactly what you said, the mindset, the psychological aspect of real estate. So put us in your shoes, between year 2 and year 3, where, you didn't have a ton of success. And then
listen, that was 40 years ago, so I'm going to have to be more recent than that, because I don't remember what I had for breakfast, and it's only noon. So, but really, it's not just mindset to succeed in real estate. Honestly, it's mindset to succeed in life. It's mindset to select the best partner, intimate partner for your life. It's mindset to make sure you maintain your health. It's mindset for whatever vehicle you choose, be it real estate, be it entrepreneurship, be it stock market investing, whatever it is, it's all mindset. And so one of the things that I do is at my live events, and I've got one. When's this going to go live, you think, guys?
Probably 2 weeks from now.
Oh, pity. Okay. Well, if you can move it up, I've got it, and I'll do a real
next
special
Thursday.
For you. Oh, fantastic.
There you go.
They're awesome, because October 17th and 18th, guys, I'm doing a 2-day boot camp, and it's only, if you use the code RODFRIEND, it's only $97. And I'm not selling anything. It's 2 full days of training. And the website is, well, if you're listening to this on iTunes, just text ROD Live to 41411, and that's one word, ROD Live to 41411, and just remember to use the code RODFRIEND, and you can come for $97. I'm not selling anything. It's kind of like a duh. It's a no-brainer. 16 hours of me training. But the reason I bring that up is the first thing we do is a goal-setting workshop, because how the hell are you going to get anything if you don't know what it is, right? You've got to have clarity on what it is that you want. And so, we spend a good, hour, 20 minutes working on our goals and clearly defining what it is that we want. And so, but let me give you if you can't make it on October 17th and 18th, let me give you a high level overview, because it'll help. And so if you're listening or watching or whatever, make sure you take some notes, because this is such an incredibly powerful exercise, even to do with your spouse, with your kids. But I really would call it goal setting on steroids. So what you want to do is pick an hour when you have a lot of energy, make sure you're well hydrated, drink some water, don't do it after you had a big meal, and sit down and write down everything you could ever possibly want in life. Start with the stuff, and there's nothing wrong with stuff. Stuff motivates us. So, the houses, the cars, the boats, the jet skis, the planes, stupid shit like watches, whatever. Just make sure you write it all down. And and take the lid off your brain. There is nothing you cannot do, be, or have. Just, the simple act of writing your goals down triggers something called your reticular activating system in your brain. And that's that filter, that psychological subconscious, that's the key, it's not conscious, subconscious filter that filters out what your brain thinks you're most interested in. And the best example I can give you is when you first buy a vehicle. You don't really notice that vehicle up until that point, most likely, but then you buy it, you see them everywhere. Were they there before? Of course they were. And so that's your reticular activating system. And the more you can associate with the things that you want, the more you bring them into your life. And I'll give you some examples of this. But anyway, so write down all the stuff, write down, the places you want to go. I've got, like, behind me here, I've got vision boards. Hang on, I'll pull one out here for a second. I don't know if you put these on YouTube, but like, there's my travel vision board. There's places I want to go or have been. I love trains, so I've got trains on there, places I've been, want to go again, or places I haven't been to. But the point is, write all this stuff down, where you want to go, where you want to have a second home, where you want to have a farm or ranch, and take the lid off your brain. If you want a private yacht, put it down there, a jet, private island, whatever it is. Don't limit yourself. There's nothing you can't do. But then write down the things you want to do. Maybe you want to climb every mountain over 14,000 feet, or write a book, or jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I did that about 8 months ago. Never freaking do it again, but it's done. It's off the list. So whatever it is, write it down. Also write down what you want to learn in this lifetime. Maybe you want to learn a foreign language or learn some other skill. If it's multifamily, I hope to God you'll come spend a couple days with me. I promise you'll be glad you did. I've had now 1,800, well, I'm supposed to have 800 people at my live event in May. We all know what happened with that. And I was like freaking out. I'm like, we've got to innovate or pivot. And maybe you're listening right now and you're in that place where you've either lost your job or your business isn't doing well and you have to innovate and pivot. So we're like, what the heck are we going to do? Well, we're going to go live. And so when you go to multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com, you'll see me in my backyard, recording the interview the video on there to get you going. And, we threw that website up in 2 days, and we had 900 people at our first live stream event, biggest event we've ever had 700 at the last one. And where I was going with all that, we've never had a complaint. The only thing, well, that's not true. People complained that the breaks were too short. They were 15 minutes and I didn't do any meal breaks, but that's because I try to dump so much information in. So anyway, write down what you want to learn if it's a skill set, what you want to learn, and then also write down who you want to help. Okay, we'll do more for others than we'll ever do for ourselves. And you want to use this. This is the fuel. Okay, so write down who you want to help, what you're going to do for them. I just bought my wife a car a few months ago that's like her dream car forever. And I bought my parents a house when my dad was alive here on a canal in Florida, bought them a car, took them on cruises. Who do you want to do something for? Use this, okay? It's powerful. And then when you actually do it, it's freaking incredible. But once you can't think of another thing, and by the way, if you're analytical and you're listening to this, don't stop and analyze everything you write down, okay? Just keep that freaking pen going. You can always scratch it out later. Keep writing. All right, once you're done, you need to put a time limit on each goal, because at this point it's just a wish or a dream. But once you put a time limit on it, then it becomes real. So put how many years you think it's going to take you to achieve it. Put a 1, a 3, a 5, even a 10 or a 20. Realizing that as human beings, we have a tendency to overestimate what we can do in a year, but we massively underestimate what we can do in 10 or 20 years. And I'll give you a personal example of this. And this is not me bragging. Please, I'm going to give you some personal examples. Most of this stuff doesn't even interest me anymore, but I'm hoping to inspire you guys that are listening. Okay. So 20 years ago, more than that, actually, I'm sorry. When I was 18, I lived in Denver, but I knew I wanted to live on the beach. Like you, Larry, you got your freaking beach going on behind you there. So I would visualize those palm trees and the sand and the surf, and there's no beach in Denver. But 20 years later, I built this mansion on the beach, this $8 million, 10,000 square foot house. I had the beach on one side that I owned, and I had my boat lifts on the backside. It was a Gulf to Bay. It's a magnificent home, which was unthinkable when I was 18. So again, take the lid off your brain. If you write it down, you can get it. Where was I? Okay, so once you've got a number by each goal, Pick your number one goal. I mean, that goal, when you get it, you know you've made it. You're like, oh my God, this is amazing. That goal. Put it on another piece of paper. Then pick your top 3 one-year goals. Put those on a separate sheet of paper. Leave some room in between them. At this point, I will tell you, you are ahead of 99.9% of the people in the world that do a New Year's resolution and forget about it by February or March. But there's a couple more quick steps. You need to write down why each one of those goals is an absolute freaking must to achieve. Okay, and be descriptive and use emotionally charged words like amazing and incredible and beautiful, and words will juice you, words will move you. You want to use them. So you might say, so I can show my kids what amazing success looks like, and I can show my wife or husband what it means to live a life of success, and we can have freedom to do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want, bring whoever we want. So just whatever's going to juice you, put it down there. And then once you've got a positive, little paragraph under each one of those goals, why it has to happen, I want you to put some pain in there if you don't achieve the goal. And I mean, make it freaking painful. So I don't feel like a failure. So I don't live a life of regret. So I don't fail my children. So I don't fail my wife or my husband. Make it freaking painful. And I will tell you, there was a nurse in Australia, a hospice nurse that talked to, and helped patients at the end of their lives. Her name was Bronnie Ware. And she asked each one of her patients a question. And it was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it. It's called The 5 Regrets of Dying. You want to know what the number one regret was, guys? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I was capable of doing. Screw that, right? Okay, we don't want to end up like that. So this is the fuel that prevents that from happening. This is what got me out from underneath the freaking rock when I lost everything. I mean, I had 800 houses, I had multiple apartment complexes, and I can explain why it all crashed and burned later. But the point is, I thought I was set for freaking life, okay? And so, refocusing on what I wanted and why I wanted it is why I'm back to the success that I'm blessed to have today. I mean, we've bought 1,500 doors in the last 18 months with our students. So but a lot of people don't survive from losing that kind of money. Back in the Great Depression, people were jumping off buildings, and I think a crash is coming again. So we can talk about that a little later if you want to. But anyway, so where was I? Okay, so you've got your positive and negative reasons why. Last thing, you must get pictures around you to manifest these things in your life. I'll give you some public examples. Jim Carrey, when he was flat broke, if you Google Jim Carrey check, he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And for those of you millennials, a check is something we used to use to pay for things, okay? Anyway, and he used to go up by the Hollywood sign, and he would pull out this check. It was in his wallet. He'd look at it. He'd visualize cashing it. That's how much money he made for Dumb and Dumber. I'll give you a more recent example. Demi Lovato, 10 years ago, posted on social media that she was going to sing in a Super Bowl. Go watch the last Super Bowl. So I'll give you some personal examples. When I was 18, I figured I was going to be rich selling other people's houses, but I had to show them houses, so I had to get a 4-door car. So I got this bone friggin' ugly Ford Granada. And it's funny because I just watched Ford versus Ferrari last night. Anyway, this car was so bench seat in the front. Listen, if you work for Ford, it was a piece of crap anyway. But the point is, this thing was just a piece of, yeah. But what was interesting was I worked with a guy that had a couple of Corvettes. The guy I was telling you about, that the first guy taught me about mindset. After that, I spent 20 years following Tony Robbins around the planet, going to his events, and he's the best in the world at it, obviously. But this guy had a couple of Corvettes. He let me drive one, and that's a key piece. If there's something that you want, experience it. If there's a car that you want, go test drive it. If there's a house that you want, go to the open houses of houses like it. I'll give you an example. I was at the Miami Boat Show in February when it was a different world. Okay, literally like 2 weeks before all the world changed, and I took my wife to the Amalfi Coast in Italy a couple of times, actually 3 times now, and I freaking love it. And there's so many yachts there. And I'm like, baby, we're going to rent or buy a yacht, and we're going to take it from Spain around Italy to Greece, Croatia. It's on the bucket list. We're making it happen. Well, I'm at the Miami Yacht Show, And I BS'd my way onto these 200-foot yachts, and pretended I owned them and sat in the captain's chair and walked around, laid on the bed, and just pretended I owned them. And why? Because it freaking works, guys. Okay. So back with the Corvette. So I drove the Corvette. I got a picture out of a magazine. Okay. This is like 1981 or 2. The internet hadn't even been thought of yet. And I got a picture out of a magazine and I put it on the visor of my Granada. So every time I sat in it, there was this picture of this Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Corvette. Another example. I'm the guy. Let me rephrase. Okay, this is back when the TV show Magnum PI was out. Mike, before you were born, but there was an actor named Tom Selleck, and he was this detective, and he drove this. And it's the first time I ever saw an exotic, and he drove this red Ferrari 308, and it was on the TV, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so freaking cool. And so I got a picture of the actual car, put it on the visor of my Corvette. Within a year or two, I had a Maserati look just like it. Last example, when I first saw a Lamborghini, I'm like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I got posters, put them in my bedroom, and back then it was the Countach was the brand, was the model. But what's fascinating is my son collected models of exotic cars, and he had a model of the exact same. He had like 30 or 40 of them, and he had a model of the exact same color and style Lamborghini that I ended up getting. But again, this stuff in fact, and so get pictures, guys, put them around you. In fact, let me show you something. For those of you, does this go on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my planner. It's on today. It's October 2nd today. In the back of this thing, it used to be a date timer. It's now called Franklin Covey, but the same whole pattern. But so I've had I made these pictures in plastic over 20 years ago. Okay. First pictures are my gratitude pictures of my kids when they were young. Everything starts from a place of gratitude, guys. It is foundational to get anything that you want in your life. You need to use gratitude. But then, I've got pictures of the things that I wanted, the houses that I wanted. This top picture, it's insane. It looks just like the view from that house on the beach. Had 10-foot high glass like that. It was 80 feet long, had a corner just like that. I had travertine floors just like that. It looked just like it. It was insane before I ever built it. Now, what's really crazy is look at these bottom pictures. See the white walls, the white stone walls in both of those? Those are two different houses. You can see the white stone walls. Yep. What's behind me on this green screen is my compound where I live now. I live in this compound now. I've got 6 buildings. I've got, a giant main house. I've got a 2-bedroom guest house. I've got an exercise facility that's off the chain. I've got a media building with a video studio. And look behind me.
It's pretty familiar.
Is that freaking crazy? It's the same freaking wall, guys. I mean, when I see this stuff, it blows my mind. I've got stupid shit like the watches I told you about. Here's a picture of Lamborghinis before I had the Lambo, the Rolls, the Bentley, all this stuff that I wanted that I got because I had pictures. So go get pictures, put them around you. If you looked around me in my office now, you see the pictures of things that matter to me now because they freaking work, guys. Okay, I'm off my soapbox, guys.
That's awesome. So right. if we dial that back a little bit and kind of recap. So you're talking about taking the most important goals in these different areas of your life, putting time frames on them, and then getting those pictures, really actually visualizing and seeing yourself kind of.
Let me talk about the visualization, because I'll give you something that I do every morning. Every morning I will sit. I showed you my vision boards. Back here behind me is a recliner. Okay. You can see some of the thank you cards from people that whose lives have been impacted by my work, which is just awesome. This is why I freaking love what I do. But what I'll do every morning is I'll sit in that recliner, or sometimes I'll do it in bed, but usually I'll sit in that recliner and I'll just do gratitude for a minute or two. I'll be grateful for my amazing, beautiful wife, my kids, my foundation, my coaching students, and just do gratitude. And then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want now as if I already have them. And sometimes I'll even get kind of emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. And you're like, oh, good Lord, please get on with the real estate shit. You lost me. But to your peril is all I will say to any of you that are thinking that, because this stuff works. This is how I had 50 million to lose in the first place. This is how I got back to where I am today, is doing this, because it works. In fact, I'm rereading a book, best book in the world on it right now, called Think and Grow Rich, which I've read probably 10 times. Gets right into exactly what I'm talking about here, guys. And I've given away, I'm not exaggerating, it's not bragging, but just to encourage you to get this book if you haven't read it. I've given away over 3,000 copies of this book because I give it to people at my live events when there were live events. Anyway, but yeah, so.
One of the things I kind of wanted to jump into and kind of deep dive a little bit is standing there looking at a mountain of debt at $50 million in the hole. And, I imagine a bunch of our listeners probably haven't got anywhere near $50 million.
I had about 30 million in debt.
30 million in debt, and you're looking at that and that's got to affect your mindset to begin with. And how do you snap out of the negative mindset and get back to the positive?
I'm so glad you asked me that, Larry. Here's why. Because I will get students that call me and say, I've got this, not students, but even just people just reach out to me and say, I've got all this student loan debt and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, listen, wrong statement or question, because what you focus on gets bigger. Positive or negative, okay? Now, if you're focused on debt, what's going to get bigger? Your debt. So I tell them, focus on income generating activity. Forget the debt. Just focus on making money. They asked Mother Teresa to come to an anti-war rally. She said, no, when you have one pro-peace, let me know. Okay. And it's the same thing, but it's different. Okay. It's where you direct your focus that matters. And again, right now, more than ever, guys, we're in some crap right now. Okay. And I mean, the world is reeling. I believe there's going to be a crash. I really do. I did a YouTube video, the coming real estate crash of 2021. Got some hate. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time, but I feel like we're headed for some pain in this country. But I don't look at it like with fear. I look at it like, yeah, it's going to suck for a lot of people, but there's going to be opportunity. Okay. And so, that's how I look at it. But remember, guys, right now, if you're listening to Larry and Mike or watching this on YouTube, you're a leader. Okay, and maybe you don't lead a crew or you don't own a company, but you're very definitely leading your family, or you wouldn't be here. And right now, the world needs leaders, and it is critical that you manage your focus. I could have focused on that mountain of debt, but I didn't. I focused on what I wanted. I reassociated with what I wanted, because it's so easy to get trapped into focusing on the negative. I mean, don't get me started on CNN, but the point is, it's so easy to get trapped into focusing on the negative, and know this, guys, the news is not there to inform us. It's there to bullshit us or scare the hell out of us. Okay. And so you've got to stand guard at your mind and bring in the good stuff, not the crap. Now on my podcast, I do an Own Your Power clip every week. It's a motivational clip. It's just to juice you. It doesn't matter. Even if you're not interested in multifamily, you'll enjoy it. And, if you go on your iPhone and just put in real estate, I usually come up number one. But those clips are 5 minutes long. That's good stuff. Go to YouTube. Forget my stuff. Go to YouTube and put in for motivational quotes or things that move you. Bring that stuff in, okay? Because with all the crap out there right now, there's so much fear. You can't allow yourself to get sucked into it. You need to focus on what you want. Maybe you need to innovate. Maybe you need to pivot. Maybe you just need to think about how you're going to thrive through this instead of just survive through this. Okay. And so focus is everything. Focus is power. Focus gives you clarity, and it's so critical. I'm really glad you asked me that question, Larry.
Well, it's one of the things that I was interested in, because I hear time and time again that people are saying they can't afford to invest in real estate because they're too far in debt, and that's just one of the things. I guarantee that they're not that far in debt as far as you were. So no. God help them if they ever had a memo like I did. But the bottom line is, it's still scary. I don't care if it's 10 grand, but the key is that's what they're focusing on. Guys, stop focusing on the things you don't want: the debt, the fear, the COVID, God to help me with politics, but don't focus on that crap. Focus on the good stuff. Focus on be grateful. Gratitude is the most important emotion we have for us, and you cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. You can't be angry and grateful at the same time. Use that emotion. It's the best one in our arsenal of emotions.
That's awesome. Well, you said something that I want to just ask you about what are some of your techniques that you use to your point, filter out all the crap that's out there while still staying informed and still stay connected? Because
listen, I go on CNN. I get so freaking irritated because it's so much bullshit. But and then I'll look at Fox. I'll go to some of the other ones as well, and I stay informed. I mean, Trump just got COVID today. It's like he keeps getting his ass kicked. But or if you hate him, fine. You're happy you got COVID. Whatever. I don't really care. But the point is, I just go to be informed, but I don't wallow in it. Okay. I don't stay with it. I don't allow, yes, my wife actually, full disclosure, I did get a little sucked in about a weekend ago, and she's like, dude, what are you doing? You tell people not to do what you're doing right now. And so I got out. Okay. Thank you, honey. I'm human, but, there's so much good stuff. Like I'll watch, stars surprising their fans, or I'll watch, motivational clips by people like Will Smith and Arnold Schwarzenegger and other athletes and things like that. Or, I'll read, or I did this. I'm in Cancun 2 weeks ago and I'm reading this book. She got a picture of me. She's like the guy never stops working, but I wasn't working. This is like crack cocaine for me, Think and Grow Rich. But the point is, we all struggle with it. We all can get sucked into it. Here's the problem. People connect through negativity. Mike, if you came up to me and said, how you doing? I said, hey, oh my God, I'm fucking amazing. Life is so awesome. You'd take a step back and like, uh-oh, he's off his meds again. But Mike, if you came up to me and said, how you doing? I said, oh God, my freaking back is killing me. And oh God. And you'd like put your arm around me. I get you, man. I'm not feeling that great either. That's how we connect as humans. And it's so effed up, And so, the key is to really recognize that, manage it, and just turn it around whenever you can. We're going to have pain. But my mentor, Tony Robbins, says, pain's going to happen, but suffering is optional, right?
Yeah. It's awesome.
And that brings me into one of the other things I wanted to kind of unpack too was, between year 2 and 3 of your career, you had said that one of the things that changed was you found somebody that taught you how to, change your mindset.
Yeah, it was more what he showed me than he told me.
Right.
I'll be honest, once I got to Tony, it was all, he explains it and describes it and then clarified it for me. But this guy, he showed me. But anyway, what's your question? Forgive me.
Oh, the question was just how important is a mentor in teaching you mindset and...
It's everything. I've got mentors right now. I've got coaches right now. I remember my son when I had, we lived on the beach and, in this $8 million home. And I told him I was going to a real estate seminar, and he knew how much real estate I'd already done. He's like, why are you going? And I said, because we're always growing and learning and expanding. I'll show you guys a picture. If you allow me to share my screen, absolutely. I'll show you a picture. I never went to college. It'll take me literally just a second to pull it up. Where is it? There it is. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see this, but this is a picture of me in front of some really nice cars that I own, but these are some of the boot camps I've been to. Okay. I mean, you can see there's like, I don't know, 70, 80 lanyards around maybe 100 around my neck. That's, I've done $1 million worth of boot camps. Now, I never went to college, but I'm constantly growing and learning and reaching out to people that know more than I do. I belong to masterminds. Another thing that they talk about and Think and Grow Rich. I have my own mastermind, and it just became really big. I added 3 guys, and we're now over 14 billion in assets. Wow. With these 3 new members. So, I mean, it's off the chain because I want to be around people that think what I think is hard is easy, right? Mm-hmm. That's where you want to be. You want to be around a peer group that holds you to a higher standard. It's so easy to be around people that through their fear or their limiting beliefs or their jealousy will try to hold you back. You want to be around people that are like, hey, what are you doing? Why aren't you off your ass this morning, kicking ass over here? You want to be around people like that again, that if you're going to play somebody in tennis, if you play somebody that's better than you or worse than you, are you going to get better or worse? Yeah. Obviously worse. And the alternative is also the case. So it's just, it's so important to manage your, who you're hanging around with. And there's so many naysayers out there. And again, they may be negative about your dreams, not because they don't like you, but because they're fearful of losing you, or they're fearful of being embarrassed because they haven't done anything with their lives, or jealous. And there's all sorts of reasons, but you want to be very, very careful who you allow to influence you. And sometimes it's family. And I tell you, love your family, but choose your freaking peers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to imagine having a mastermind like that, or being surrounded by those people, not only is important to getting success, but not allowing that success to peter out and to plateau. And, Ryan Holiday, a favorite author of mine, wrote a good book called Ego is the Enemy, and how as soon as you get a little bit of success, sometimes you start telling yourself that you're God's gift to earth, and, you crash and burn, right?
You just queued up something I forgot to mention. All right, thank you. So I built that house on the beach, right? Took me 20 freaking years to build it, okay? I mean, to get it, not build it, but to get it. And 2 months, 60 days after I moved in, and this house is magnificent. Let me just describe for a second, okay? It had a giant waterfall out of the second floor balcony into the pool. Oh. I bought tens of thousands of dollars worth of trees that bent out over the pool. Pool was in magazines. It had a giant spiral staircase, hand carved out of metal, like that looked like ribbon going up all the way through the middle of the house. On the second floor, I'll just stop with this. On the second floor, I had a aquarium custom made that curved around the staircase and was visible on both sides. The aquarium was somewhere between 150 and 200 grand. So it gives you an idea of the house.
Nice.
All right. So 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in the pool at night. My family's inside sleeping. Pool's changing colors, got fiber optic lighting. The house is just magnificent. I'm looking up at this testament to my ego, which is really what it was. It was to prove to the world I was good enough. I used to ask myself the question, how can I show them I'm good enough? Because I like everybody, I got bullied in school. I didn't speak English, got my ass kicked on a weekly basis, and my mom, God bless her, proud Dutch woman that she is, she sent me to school in wooden shoes for show and tell, or the leather pants the Germans wear for Oktoberfest, and got my ass kicked again. So, I had, a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. And for me, it was that I wasn't good enough. Well, I'm looking up at this testament to my ego 2 months after I moved into this place, and I got depressed. And I don't mean just a little bummed. I mean, I was freaking bummed. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I mean, I've just achieved success like people dream about. And I mean, I was really down. And so you queued this up because I forgot to mention this. Guys, it's never about the goals. Happiness comes from progress and growth. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You also need a vision for the future. And I didn't know what the heck I was going to do next, right? So that was one thing. But the second thing, is the progress and growth. It's never about the goals. You need the goals. They juice you, they motivate you, they propel you. But it's critical that you're consciously, and that's the operative word, consciously acknowledging your progress and growth on at least a weekly basis, because you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have delays. But if you're acknowledging your growth, you'll stay happy. But there was one bigger thing happening. I had been totally focused on me. Rod. Show the world I matter. Show them I'm good enough. Prove it. I was egocentric, and I'm embarrassed to admit it, honestly. But I that's the year that I bought some books. One of them was this one, Think and Grow Rich, and I bought, Dale Carnegie, and I bought a Tony book, and I started reading the Tony book. I only got halfway through it. I don't think I even finished it, but I was like, hey, I really like this. And so I went and saw him live that year, and I saw. This is 20 years ago, guys, and I saw him that he fed families. Now, he feeds, when I tell you I'm not exaggerating, like hundreds of millions. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, he's got a heart bigger than you can imagine. And I'm like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. It took me till I was 40 to get that freaking memo. Well, I go back and I fed some families, and it changed my life. And I'm blessed to say now, and I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you this in a second. But, I fed 85,000 children now for the holidays. I've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies to local children. It's astounding to me. We live in the greatest country on earth, and kids don't even have school supplies. I've done tens of thousands of teddy bears for the local police departments for their officers to keep in their vehicles when they encounter a child that's been traumatized. there's a big difference between success and fulfillment. And I was unfulfilled. I was successful, but I was unfulfilled. And you know what's interesting? I'll interview very wealthy guys on my podcast. And, you know, my podcast just broke 9 million downloads. I'm just blown away by that. But I'll interview, you know, very wealthy people. And sometimes I run across ones that were like I was back then, totally focused on themselves. And I feel sad for them because they're truly not successful, you know? And so the reason I bring all this up, guys, is that I know you probably, some of you are young and got blood dripping from your teeth and you want this freaking success. Maybe you want the Ferrari or the Lambo or whatever, just the, you know, whatever it is that's driving you. I'm going to tell you, you need to incorporate giving back now. Don't wait. If you're saying to yourself, when I have money, I'll help other people, don't wait. You can definitely help other people now. I don't care if you haven't got a pot to piss in, you can help other people right now. Pick a cause that juices you and get into it. Here's why. So many people think they have to achieve to be happy. When you incorporate giving back, you are happily achieving.
There you go.
The distinction, and you'll get much further, much faster. So, because whatever you give, you get back 100-fold. And that's just the truth of it. I don't care if you're religious or not. That's just the way universe, God, whatever you believe works. And trust me, I know this. You want love, you give love. You want happiness, you give happiness. You want money, give of your time or give money, and you will have more money. So, anyway.
That's awesome. And I got to imagine that's going to help with, I hear these people all the time talk about how, you know, they're going to grind for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. And then, you know, when they made it, they can take time to, you do exactly what you said, give back, you know, spend a little bit of time doing elsewhere. But if you can incorporate that along the journey, then it's not as rough of that, you know, straight constant grind, but you can be more fulfilled by going through that process.
That's exactly right. And contribution actually is a basic human need. Believe it or not, anything in this world that doesn't contribute in some fashion actually gets eliminated. And I'm talking about animals and plants and everything else. So it really is. And for humans, it's a basic human need. We need to contribute. It's an underutilized need, but it is a need. And so, you know, when I interview students that want to come into my Warrior Mentorship program, I ask them a question: why they think they might be a fit, or ask them what their why is. And when I hear that they want to do something for someone else, I always know they're going to be a success, because power moves to those that serve. It's just the bottom line. It's just the way the world works. So.
Excellent. Rod, I just wanted to tell you, I appreciate you coming down and sharing your knowledge with us. Can you give the listeners a little bit about where they can connect with you?
Yeah, sure. You know, if you want to know more about me, go to realestatewithrod.com. That's connected to my website. I used to say rodkhleif.com. Nobody can spell my last name. So I got another domain. It's Real Estate with Rod, and it points to my website. And here's why. There's tons of free stuff there. I've got books there. I've got, you know, in fact, I'll show you a couple of them. I've got, you know, this tool book. It's free. It's 70 pages. It's like a multifamily due diligence checklist on steroids. By the way, here's the manual for the boot camp. You can make it to my boot camp. I mean, it's no fluff. I'm not selling anything. It's 16 hours of me training you. It's not these, you know, these things that these guys put on where they've got all these different speakers and it's kind of jumbled. This is me training you how to find deals, how to evaluate deals, how to finance deals, how to raise money for deals, how to do the due diligence on deals, how to even manage them. Now, it's soup to nuts. Now, I have panels too. I've got a huge panel on Saturday night. I'll probably have somewhere between 3 and 4 billion represented by those 6 people. So, you know, and then I have panels throughout the day as well. But it's training. And again, if you're interested in that, go text Rod Live to 41411 or go to multifamilyvirtualbootcamp.com. And you get all, by the way, you get all of these resources, all of these books. You get, I don't know, it's about 10 or 12 of them here that I've written. And so
I believe you have a goal setting book as well.
That's in here as well. Right? Yep. That's in here as well. You get that because we do the goal setting first. Yeah, I did goal setting on January 1st of this year. You know, other people were hungover. I was doing an hour and a half goal setting session, and I provided a workbook. It was free. In fact, if you go to my Rod Khleif official page on Facebook, and if you can make it to January 1st, you can download it, and I'll guide you through that goal setting. For example, if you can't make it to my boot camp, you know, go to my Rod Khleif official page and just go to January 1st of this year, and I'll guide you through it. I had music and I did it in my backyard, but people really raved about it. I've had 5,000-6,000 people watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've talked to several people who have been to your boot camp. It's definitely worth it. So you guys make sure you check it out and text that. So
thank you.
Yeah, we'll throw all those links and shortcuts into the show notes as well, so people can reference that to so you said get all that knowledge and it really kickstart what they're trying to do. So it's awesome. Like Larry said, Rod, really appreciate you coming down and firstly coming down and sharing a little bit of your success and kind of the secrets to that. So I know this is an episode that I think the listeners are going to get a ton of value from. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure to meet you guys.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Rod Khleif on the mental side, the mindset side, the psychological side of success in real estate investing. And my goodness, man, that was that was a good one.
Wow, dude. I could sit there and listen to Rod for hours. I know he's a busy man, so we had to kind of let him go. But he talks about a lot of stuff that's very pertinent in the real estate game today to get to financial freedom. And it's a big part of running the real estate marathon is that mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And this one's applicable to anybody, not just real estate. Like everybody wants to have success in life, right? This is one of those that when you're done, at least when I was done with it, I started making notes and changing things immediately, and wanted to run through walls after talking to Rod. Man, he's got a way of getting people fired up and getting people to realize what's really important in their life. So it's just super good interview. I was pumped with it.
He does, and I can imagine a lot of the listeners are probably going to go back and keep this on an infinite loop because he, just every time you get down or you need some inspiration, just re-listen to that episode and have Rod talk you through how to get back to a positive mindset.
Exactly. Yep. For sure, man. I mean, if this guy can lose $50 million in 1 year and bounce back and have the success that he has, he can get you through whatever you're dealing with right now.
Absolutely. So, what do you think for our call to action for this episode, man?
Oh man, we'd be stupid not to tell everybody as a call to action to go to the Real Estate with Rod website. That's what Rod's talked about. It's got a ton of free content. And look, you got it. When people give away content like this, sure, you got to give up your email. Big deal to get a ton of free content from this guy. He's on that website, realestatewithrod.com. It'll redirect you to the Rod Khleif official website. He's going to give you the free multifamily property toolbook. It's a comprehensive checklist that he uses on his deals. If you go to the Rod Khleif official Facebook page, there's a really, really cool goal planner or goal setting workbook that he gives away for free as well. You just got to scroll back to the January post, but a ton of free content over on Rod's sites.
Yeah, definitely go out there and check it out and take advantage of a lot of these free resources like this podcast, like Rod's free books, and then he's also got a boot camp coming up, which he deep dives into how to do everything that you need to know for real estate investing.
Yeah. And honestly, maybe, this should have been a bigger topic in the beginning part, the intro of this interview, but $97 for 16 hours of really, really thorough education from a guy who has just killed it in the real estate game. That's a bargain. And people scoff at, I think some people scoff at paying, hundreds or thousands of dollars even for education, but it makes sense in most cases to get educated by the best. And it will, if you're smart about what ones you go to and what you spend your money on, it's going to shorten that road to success for you.
Yeah, success leaves clues, and Rod's definitely got a lot of clues for his success.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, jump on that boot camp for $97 and get a good 16 hours of education from a whole ton of people in the real estate industry.
Yep. Well, that's everything I've got for the folks today. I hope they had a great listen to Rod Khleif and got a lot of nuggets of knowledge.
Heck yeah, man. That's all I got. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. If you found value in any of the content from this show, consider supporting us in the following ways. Subscribe to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast. Leave a rating and review. Continue the conversation with like-minded individuals on social media by heading over to the Real Estate Marathon Podcast Facebook group or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Real Estate Marathon Podcast.